see when this kicks on. Maybe in a second. Kicking on. All right, sweet. I think that's everybody. Hang on a second here. Oh, here we are. So I'm looking for account, dashboard. All right. Ooh, what is that? Fingers, too many places here. All right. Hey there, Amy. It looks like we've got everybody. We're just about to get started here. For everyone else who's come through, hello, Rachel. Hello, Kate online. Any wants or needs from your practice today? I have even less planned per se. I have some general ideas here about where I would like to get to. Wants, needs for your body and your practice today? Neck? All right. Like tight or not or? All right. All right, I get it. It's always always my left side, always over here, yeah. So we'll do some stuff with neck. We had asked about neck as well, and it's more like just lengthening, stretching out, right? All right. Anything else for anybody? Shoulders, all right. I know you don't have to say it now. Would you like to put core out there as your ask? Crow. Oh, I keep saying core. I mean, there's a lot of core there. Those two things go together like peanut butter and jelly. So we'll do that. What's that?
It's like yours. I should be able to do crow. It's just a personal goal that I will do one.
I've seen you're getting into it. Repetition is the thing. When we were playing in flight school the other Saturday, I was really talking about how you can just add those things as much as possible, and so happy to do that. I find that the space that is in my house means that wall space for practice with inversions is hard to come by. Either I'm going to kick something that doesn't want to be kicked, or I'm going to be really close to a staircase that I do not want to be really close to a staircase. So where we can find that and bring it in more often is great to be able to do. So anything else I should be aware of for anybody from your practices today? Hip stuff? Yes, definitely getting some stuff in there as well. So we'll put a lot of this together and see how all of this comes out, all right? As I've been leading here, offering a little bit more recently, if sitting in Sukhasana or Siddhasana is a great place to start, but if you would like to, there is no reason why you can't start in Vajrasana. If you would like to sit back on the heels, maybe there's some support that you need underneath the ankles to start, rolled up blanket or bolster can be nice for that. A little bit different, getting into the knees and quads pretty quickly here. So we'll see where that is for everybody. It's a really nice day to wake up. It was brisk this morning, which is all I needed to wake up. So instead of coffee, I just had a little cup of tea, which means already my heart rate is not like, well, I'm here to do some yoga. Yeah, is it gonna work? What are you doing? Maybe, maybe not. All right, let's try this one more time. So wherever you happen to be with your comfortable seat, allow yourself just to either let your gaze become soft and unfocused, or let the eyes come closed, turning inward a little bit more intentionally. And as we often do in the practice here, just allow these first couple of breaths to check in with yourself. That isn't asking you to make any changes to what you're doing in this moment, but just to be aware of how you are here at Wednesday at noon, how it feels to come back into this space, how it is to come back onto your mat. And as you have a deeper awareness of where you are in your space and in yourself, if there are some adjustments to the breath that speak to how you would like to begin to settle deeper, become more aware, more in tune with yourself, so that as we move through the practice, every option that is given is just that, an option and not an obligation, generally not a requirement. This idea I've been playing with for the past couple of classes, mostly around the full moon energy here of being grounded so that we can more deeply check in with ourselves and listen to ourselves and strengthen our intuition. And from this deeper sense of ourself and who and how we are in this moment, ultimately what that looks like as an expression or expressiveness in yourself, in your breath, in your pose, in the idea of yourself. If you would like to, with your next inhalation, bring your hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra, setting an intention here of self-reverence for all that you are and all that you are capable of. And if there is any other intention that has brought you to the practice here today, hold that here as well in the space before the heart. And if you'd like to join with me in the sound of one Om just to initiate the practice, exhale completely, to inhale deeply. Bowing into yourself, sealing in this intention of self-reverence as we move through a practice where you get to guide and lead yourself along the journey that gets laid out. You can release the hands, lift the eyelids, lift the chin. If you've been in Vajrasana, you can come forward toward table just to smack out the tops of the feet or whatever might be nice. And if you're already in a different seat, we're just going to come into Baddha Konasana to start here, or bound angle pose. So if we've been seated in Vajrasana, we want to free up the knees here a little bit more beforehand. And the feet can be further out in front of you. And some of this will be for you, Rachel, with the plantar fasciitis stuff happening. Really press the big toe ball mounds of the feet into each other so that we are energizing through the ankles, through the feet, through the lower part of the legs here. Thumb with fingers as we take hold of the fronts of the ankles or the shins. And as we pull ourselves forward, simply by drawing shoulder blades onto the back, find a little bit more lift through the space of the heart. And you can make little movements with the knees if that feels nice. If this is your first time in this pose today, maybe in the last few days. Ultimately, though, getting to a place where the movement becomes a little smaller or a little more still, with the intention here of the knees being able to reach a little bit wider and a little bit lower toward the floor. And we're just feeling into how this feels through the inner thighs, keeping, like I said, the feet here very strong and engaged. Intentionally letting both knees reach further to the left and to the right, into down. And for some of you who are already starting to move into it, if it is right for you already in the practice, you can bend the elbows down toward the inner thighs, but as we keep the shoulder blades on the back, keep the heart lifting, so we're finding a little bit of a cow stretch here. And if this allows you to walk in and down, or out and down further into the forward fold, feel free to breathe into and settle into where is right in your body. As we fold deeper, there may be an intention to let the big toe ball mounds start to come apart if that feels like it frees up some space or makes it more accessible. Keep the chin lifting without the head throwing back. So just take the gaze over the tops of the toes, maybe out toward the fingers if you've walked them further forward. And as the shoulders move down the back, start to walk the hands back in as you rise up. Come onto the hands just behind you. Let the knees lift and bring the feet firmly grounded, and then take the feet, you can heel toe them as wide as the mat. Starting with littler movements, maybe starting to make these into bigger movements as both knees descend to the right. Maybe turn our head a little bit more to the left, getting a stretch there on the right side. Inhaling to center, pausing. Placing the feet wide once again. On the exhale, letting both knees descend to the left. And as we lift through the chest and expand here on the right side, maybe the gaze goes over the right shoulder. Maybe both knees start to get a little bit heavier. One leg here is doing internal rotation. The other is doing external rotation. And on the inhale, come back to center, and we'll just move through with your breath. So exhaling to one side, inhaling to center, exhaling to the other, and just starting to find a little bit more of a flow here for yourself. If it means turning head side to side, again, if there is space for you to become a little bit more expressive in other variations that work with this for you, go for it. Nice, and on the next inhale, as you come up from the second side, probably the left side, pause in the middle. You can either bring the feet to touch and let both knees fall to one side and hips to the other, or cross at the ankles and allow yourself to roll forward. We're going to find ourselves in a tabletop position. And here in our tabletop position, find this firmly rooted through both hands sensation. So the length of the fingers are pressing down. The finger pads are gripping a little bit, and if that lifts the fingers, we press them back down. Check in here how this is through the elbows. If you're a person who hyperextends, you can bend the elbows wider, so it's like you're starting to lower down a little bit, almost like you're going to come into like knees, chest, chin, but not going that far. Then with that bend through the elbows, the hands hug together, and feel how that fires up through the biceps and the space around the shoulders, and either staying there with more stability and strength in the arms, or keeping that hugging together sensation, press down through the length of the arms to make them a little bit more straight. Keep the chin lifting away from the chest, again, without the head throwing back. And on the next inhale, we'll extend right leg back. Ball of the foot stays on the floor. And you can just make some pulsing movements back and forth here. A lot of this is probably going to be felt much more through the calf and through the ankle. But in some of this movement, we'll also get a chance to notice how this is through the shoulders, any other things that start to come up through the hands and the wrists. And do see that the pointer finger knuckle mound of both hands is grounded down. So we are looking out for our wrists today, tomorrow, and next year. And on the next inhale, bring that right knee back to the floor. Extend the left leg back. Same thing on side two. Just about 4 or 5 breaths, probably. Good. And as you're ready, you're coming to breath 4, breath 5. Come back to a tabletop position. You can walk both knees back a little further. You can take the knees a little wider if you would like to for a more traditional balasana or child's pose, or keeping the toes tucked and the shins parallel, hands pressed down and away as the sit bones settle back toward the heels. Listening to the shoulders as you settle further back. Listening to the knees, to the ankles as you press further back. With biceps framing out the ears, it's going to be a much deeper stretch through the shoulder girdle and the scapula. And a chance to come off of the wrists. We're going to get back onto them in a second, and then we'll start moving through here at a much more active, dynamic pace. If there's one more thing the wrists here might need, and that feels nice in the neck, you can press the finger pads down, lift the palms away from the floor. Try to hug the fingers together. It's isometric, so it doesn't move, or they don't move, but we're trying to do that. And just, again, notice how that is through the wrists, through the forearms, up to the elbow. And on your next exhalation, let the palms come back down to the floor as you pull yourself back into a tabletop position. Either coming into balancing table here on the right side from your first breath, or moving into this with some steps. Right foot extends back, come onto left finger pads, check in with yourself here. With both palms or both hands still on the floor, inner right thigh lifts. You can let the head descend a little bit just to look down and see that your toes are pointing straight down. And if they're not, just simply hug the big toe ball mound more to center as you push the big toe ball mound away and draw the pinky toe side of the foot back more toward the outer knee. And now, for all of you who have already been in it, now we're in it. Left hand reaches forward, balancing table. Good. Finding this core work on the next exhale. Draw knee and elbow to chest. A little bit of a cat stretch here after we were playing with the cow stretch in a couple of other earlier poses. Inhale to extend back out. Good. Exhale, curl into yourself one more time. Inhale once again to reach out a little further, fingertips more away from the heel. And on the exhale, both hands and both knees to the floor. Again, next inhale, you can rise up into balancing table with the left leg and right arm, or taking steps, left leg steps back. Come onto the finger pads on the right hand. Inner left thigh lifts with more support to the floor here. We can let the head drop just to see what's going on with that back foot. Hugging in, finding internal rotation so the leg is neutral. Pushing the big toe ball mound away and drawing the pinky toe side toward the outer left knee to keep the ankle neutral. And maybe right hand reaches forward, changing our relationship to the floor. And palm hugs to center, inner thigh hugs to center. Nice and strong here, everybody. On your next exhale, coming down in stage. Oh, sorry, yes, look at that. Everyone's got it already. Curling into yourself. As soon as I get up and off the mat, it changes in my head. Inhale to extend out. Exhale to curl back in. The inhale extends us out once again. And now the exhale brings us back down to our table, where some of us may choose to pause. You can settle back into puppy pose, or you can rise up to down dog, our first Adho Mukha Svanasana of the day. Maybe, for me. And if you're taking puppy pose, ultimately we will come either through down dog or however you would like to your Uttanasana.
But the hands here in our down dog or puppy pose are pressing down and away. Find this stretch and opening through the armpits and the shoulders. Little bend to the knees if that helps to lengthen the spine here. And maybe over another breath or two in this down dog. From knees bent, the inner thighs keep pressing back so the heels get a little bit heavier. The backs of the legs get a little bit longer.
And on the next inhale, we can come up really high on the heels. If you have a lot of weight in the hands and it's part of your practice, you can take a deep bend to the knees and jump up and forward. So try to bring hips over shoulders as you come up. Inhale to halfway lift. And on the exhale, not just because of the contraction of the breath, but because the activation of the core, draw yourself into an Uttanasana. Knees bent as much as you need to for this first time. Or using blocks so that the focus stays more on the stretching of the hamstrings. Good.
We played with this a little bit last week. If you would rather just roll up the spine and come to stand, you are more than welcome to. We've had a couple of asks for neck here, though. So in our forward fold, we'll bring our hands to the space behind the head, interlace the fingers at the back of the skull, and little bend to the knees if that helps here, of course. Palms hug the back of the head as the back of the head pushes in to the palms. Arms try to lengthen and draw the crown of the head more toward the floor. You might notice the shoulders descending a little bit more away from the ears, creating a little bit more spaciousness. And you can stay here for another breath in traction.
The head is pushing intentionally back into the hands, so we're staying neutral through the neck. And you can either release the hands to roll up the spine, or as you ground down even more through all four corners of both feet and engage your core, start to push the shoulder blades up to rise up into mountain pose with the traction through the neck. And on the inhale, you can reach the arms up and overhead, tall mountain. You can lift the heels if you'd like to play a little bit with balance and stretch out the arches and ankles. Exhale, let the heels find the floor. Hands come back down by your side. Good. Moving through a sun salutation B, just to bring a whole bunch of movement in here through all the poses. If crescent lunge, for whatever reason, is not right for you, as we come into the lunge, or as we move into down dog, it will be stepping forward into Anjaneyasana instead of into crescent lunge, all right? On the next inhale, reach up, lengthen as you ground down through the feet. Good. Keep that length with a little bend to the knees, hinge from the hips as you reach forward, folding into yourself, Uttanasana. On the exhale, bend the knees deeply, chair pose. Hands can stay on the floor. You can reach forward with the hands to sit deeper back and down, or if this is all right in the body and in the torso, as we tuck the tailbone ever so slightly, curl up through the heart. Good. Exhale, fold in once again. Take a big step back with the right foot. Take a big step back with the left foot for plank pose. Here in plank, push the floor away from you, so really feel the shoulder blades coming apart. Rounded in the upper back. As heels press away, crown of the head reaches forward. Inner thighs lift as outer ankles hug to center. Let the heart start to melt a little bit to bring shoulder blades closer onto the back now. And you can lower knees down first if you need to the floor for chaturanga, or fully to the floor if cobra is better for you than up dog. Your choice, checking in. Either cobra or up dog. The hands are pressing down and hugging back so the heart is reaching and extending forward. But exhale back to your chaturanga or the floor. Lift the right leg away from the floor, whether you're in chaturanga or not. Push up through three-legged plank, back to three-legged dog, and either take a breath in your three-legged dog or come right forward
into your crescent lunge. Good. Back knee can lower down now as well if you would like to. Hug to center as you rise up. And as we rise up, we'll also start to do a little bit more curling up. So palms turn forward, hook the thumbs. And as shoulder blades pull, or as you pull hands apart, shoulder blades move together. And from that space of more stability and strength behind the heart, curl heart to the sky, thinking up to reach back and not thinking back to reach back. Nice. Inhale to come up to neutral. Frame out that foot. You can step right on back to three-legged dog. If you'd like to take three-legged dog with a hip opener, go for it. If you're in a three-legged dog with hip opening, come back to your down dog. We'll send left leg up and back, stepping through to the lunge. That same thing, pausing there for a second if you need to, rising up if you need to, lowering the back knee if you need to. We can do the thumbs hooked, and we'll keep mixing things up here for everybody who'd like to, if this feels good in your body for the next questions that we've been getting here. If you would rather, you can bring your hands, shoulders width distance, pull down like cactus arms so the shoulders are also staying grounded and lifting through the heart for a back bend in that way. Nice, taking the options. Sweet, everybody. Next, inhale, the heart brings you forward. Frame out the foot. Step that right foot back, or left foot back, sorry, for plank. From plank, come down to the floor. We're gonna get it, I know, we're gonna get it. Down to the floor for your flow. Either pranam to cobra or low plank to up dog. And now from your chaturanga or your pranam, left foot lifts. Rise up through three-legged plank, press back to three-legged down dog. Find your hip opening on this side if you would like to. Later on in the practice, we will definitely make space for flipping the dog for people who would really like to do that. I'd inhale back to three-legged dog to down dog. Pause in your down dog. Check in with yourself with all the movement. Do we lose that connection of fingers extended, length of the fingers grounded, more weight moving through the palm and not just the wrist? And same thing, you can walk, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat, including making that little bend to the knees or deep bend to the knees to help launch you more forward. Nice. Inhale, halfway lift. Find a little bit more length through the back of the legs. On the exhale, both with the contraction of the body naturally with the breath, as well as drawing onto your fire and activating your core. Pull yourself in. Good. Some people are already doing it. We've been in class many times before. Any variations of Uttanasana that works for you, you are free to explore throughout your practice. On the next inhale, we're going to bend the knees deeply, sit back in the chair, rise up through the torso, arms overhead. Again, noticing here if this feels all right, maybe it is pulling down into cactus arms so the heart lifts. Good. That will exaggerate the shape and the curve of the low back more so, but it's because there's more stuff happening in the upper back as well. You can still find this little contraction to the core, so the back bend does stay into the safer parts for the back bend. Sit back and down. And on the inhale, stand down through the feet. Get tall to rise up. Reach your hands forward, or out to your side to start. Let shoulder blades come off of the back. Reach both hands forward and trying to keep elbows in line with the shoulders here. They might have to come down to make the crossover. We'll take left elbow on top of right elbow, giving yourself a nice big hug here. Again, letting the shoulder blades come apart. If the elbows are lifting, that will typically send the shoulder blades down the back, giving us more spaciousness around the ears. Good. On the inhale,
Open your arms wide once again. Reach both arms in front of you once again, shoulder blades again off of the back, and this time right elbow will come over the left, giving yourself a nice big hug. And just notice yourself, does one side feel not just tighter, but are there other things happening when we just change which arm is on top? Oh, this one now. Good. Release the hands. Bring shoulders down the back. Lift through the heart. Grounded and strong in your tall or in your mountain pose. Oh, let's see it this way for this here. Good. Bring hands to the hips. On the next exhale, sit back and down into the chair. If you would like a gentler twist, and we're starting here early, but if you'll need a gentler twist, take a hips width distance stance so that elbow can connect to the inside of the same side knee. Otherwise, feet touching, we can get a deeper stretch here. I'm going to do hands alongside the body to start though. Bring left hand to the left hip, reach right arm up and overhead. Lengthen through the right side, and on the exhale, again, as we are contracting and intentionally drawing ourselves, curling into ourselves, start to take the right elbow off to the left. Maybe it's the inside of the right knee, maybe it's the outside of the left knee. Take a look down at the feet and knees, see that they're both in line. That right hip might need to move back a little bit. Maybe as we push more into the left hand, and the next exhale, we can curl in a little deeper still into ourselves. Maybe left hand presses into right. Maybe as it does so, it allows us to deepen the twist through the upper torso without the hips moving too much. Maybe here with this, we either come into cactus arms as the hands pull away, but the elbows stay at 90 degrees, or we can extend through the arms, right fingertips to the floor, left to the sky. Again, it's deep and early, so listen to yourself. Nice with the alternatives and the exploration, everybody. Inhale to unwind. Stay in the chair. If you need to come out of it, of course, you are more than welcome to, but stay in the chair here. Maybe right hand finds right outer thigh. Left arm reaches up to the sky. We find this length always before the twist, and as we exhale, and curl in more strongly to ourselves, we draw the left elbow either to the inner left knee or to the outer right knee. Square up the hips, look down to see how things are in the foundation of the pose. We do get to a place where we just notice how it feels. You can deepen that twist even more. You can open the arms into cactus arms. You can spread your wings. You can keep that right hand pressing into the right thigh to stabilize and deepen if that's what's right for you. Nice. And on the next inhale, come back to center. Allow yourself to fold over the legs. Let the legs lengthen towards straight or straighter. And on the next inhalation, making a more active Uttanasana. Stand down through the legs. Allow yourself to come onto the fingertips so you can stand taller through the legs. You can bring hands on the blocks if you would like to. As we put more weight into the right foot, bend the left knee deeply, heel to sit bone. And on the next inhale, as we extend out through the left heel, keep the inner left thigh lifting so that you don't have to drop the head, but you can sense and feel in your body that your toes are pointing down to the floor, and the big toe ball mound is hugging to center, that it's hugging to center and pushing away as the outer pinky pulls to the outer knee. And because we've got the right foot down, maybe we reach the right hand back like an airplane wing, maybe coming onto left fingertips. Continuing to lift through the inner left thigh as you reach the left hand back. Airplane wing arms modification variation here for Warrior 3.
Start to bend the right knee as the left foot reaches back. Arms go down to reach and rise up. Crescent lunge. Good. On the exhale, as the hands draw down, lift to the heart. Spin the back heel down. Lengthen, widen, shorten, whatever you need to change with your stance as you keep shoulder blades on the back and extend both arms out. Warrior 2. Virabhadrasana 2. And if you need to, you can let the outer corner or the outer edge of your left foot get a little lighter. There's more weight in the inner edge of that foot, a little less stretch through the ankle. Good. Exhale as we settle. On the inhale, staying in the low lunge through the knee or intentionally coming into triangle legs. Reach right palm up, reach up, extend back. Good. Maybe the left hand extends back as well. As we deepen into the lunge, right arm leads the way as we come back through Warrior 2. Both palms are spun down, pushing down to get taller. Good. On the exhale, come down, windmill the hands, frame out the foot, spin the back heel up, let the back knee lower down. Let both hands come to the inside here of the right foot. Knee keeps hugging to center. Also a place where it can be really easy to round the back and let the head drop. And you hug shoulder blades together. So again, it's that sense of heart melting, chin lifting away from the chest, gaze just over the edge of your mat. And if you would like to go deeper into your lizard lunge, you can lower down to forearms. You can lower down to forearms on blocks. We are going to turn this into a twisted bound pose, and we can do that from low on the forearms for some of us, but just be aware that maybe a reset coming back onto the hands. The further down we go, the more that knee wants to push wide. That knee can push wide as long as we are staying active and intentional through the foot. So as the knee moves wide, the inner edge of that right foot might start to peel up, but we're still pushing down through the right big toe ball mount. We're still hugging knee back as if it's trying to connect to the sit bone on the right side. So we do so with a lot of integrity. And if you would like to come into the twist with the bind here on your forearm, we uninterlace the fingers, place the left hand to the floor. On the exhale, reach right arm to the sky. Inhale to find fullness through the chest. With that fullness, back knee bends, heel hugs to sit bone. Right hand reaches back to take the outer foot, ankle, shin. Maybe there's a strap that you throw over the foot. And as the foot tries kicking away, the foot stays flexed. The right elbow bends to draw into yourself. That resistance between the two helps to take a deeper twist through the torso, deeper opening through the heart. Really nice, everyone. Good. On the inhale, unwind. Walk that right foot into, not completely to center, but just in enough that we can frame out the foot. I'm going to come into Ekapada Rajakapotasana here, or pigeon pose. And if coming into this through this low lunge is not right for you, you can come back into down dog in our more typical way of coming forward into pigeon. Otherwise, those right toes, that right foot keeps walking off to the left. The right knee stays to the very edge of the right side of your mat, so it's wider than the hip. And then we adjust our back knee in, back, further, whatever it needs to be. If we're staying here with the shin parallel to the floor, keep the foot active so there's a lift through the ankle. And if that is too much on the knee or the hip, as the shin comes back at an angle, toes point back. Now both hands come underneath the shoulders. Good. Feel that back leg, or take a look back and see that that back leg is totally to the inside of your outer left hip. Come on to finger pads. So there's some lift here still.
knees hug together, heart is open. On the exhale, as we keep this back bend shape, start to hinge from the hips, more of belly to shin or ankle, elbows bend, we come onto forearms. Again, another possibility for the head to drop. Keep the back of the head lifting. Keep the crown of the head reaching forward. And if it's part of your practice, you can walk the hands further forward still, letting again the biceps frame out the ears, much closer to the floor, but like down dog. You can do this on your back. So we found a little bit of a back bend. We're coming into a forward fold as we come out of this. Some of us will rise up into down dog. Some of us will take that into three-legged dog. Some of us may take that into flipping your dog, your choice. Your next in-breath, though, we start to walk back in to come in and up, lifting and making your way back to your down dog, your three-legged dog, your hip opening, your wild thing. Nice. That right ball of the foot presses down, the heel lifts. If you've got on the left foot, we're here on the outer edge of that foot, pushing the big toe ball mound away. Inhale to unwind. Nice, everyone. Back to your down dog. If you're in it and you would like to move through a flow, feel free to do so. If you'd like to lower down to table for a second, do so. If you want to take 3 more breaths in your down dog, do so. We have a side 2 to do. How did hips, knees, and ankles feel for the transition from crescent into pigeon? All right for everybody? All right, cool. Lift up really high on the heels. Walk, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat. Little bend to the knees as we stand down through the feet, roll up through the spine. One more pause in the middle here for a little bit of shoulder work, a little bit of groundedness through both feet. And just as an option here, as we usually do, hips width distance, but even finding balance and just practicing standing more with feet touching. Little gap between the ankles. Keep your right arm heavy, reach left arm to the sky. Fingers here will take the space just above the right ear. And as the right shoulder stays grounded, we start to push with control gently. The left ear more toward the left shoulder. As I was saying before, left side is always where all of my knots and things are, whether it's neck, shoulders, hamstrings, quads, calves, I don't know. If this feels nice, stay here just like this. If you like a little bit more of a stretch in a different part of the neck, let the head come up back to neutral. Turn your gaze more toward the left armpit. And then the hand is more toward the space on the right side of your head behind the ear. Instead of pulling ear to shoulder, it is more head dropping toward the space where your armpit is. It just stretches a slightly different part of the neck here, all the muscle fibers that move through there. I think I mentioned this one in the classes last week. I could just be here for like 40 minutes on this side alone. On the inhale, bring the head back to neutral, reach your left hand down beside you. And reach your right arm to the sky, fingers find the space just above the left ear, drawing right ear more toward right shoulder. Again, another breath here. And if this is where you would like to stay, then check out of my voice for another 30 seconds and just be here in the stretch in this way. Otherwise, free the head back to neutral. Turn your gaze more toward the right. Hand is more toward the back left side of the head and drawing the neck and the nose and the head forward into the side. Good. Good too. Find your next exhale for the depth of the stretch and the effort. The next inhale brings you back to your mountain. Your mountain, we've got a second side here to do. On the inhale, reach up as you sit back and down into the chair. Good. Staying low in the chair, keep reaching forward, bringing more belly to thigh, trying to find neutral and long here through the spine before you bring both hands to the floor or blocks. Maybe it's fingertips and not palms. Both legs move more towards straight. Right knee bends deeply, heel to sit bone here. And on the inhale, as you press down through both hands and press down through that left foot, extend out through the right heel, using the grounded energy moving down to support you in right inner thigh lifting. Feeling or sensing into that back leg. Are the toes pointed down? Is the pinky toe drawing more toward the outer knee to help neutralize? Maybe left hand reaches back like airplane wings. Maybe right hand reaches back like airplane wings. Maybe we find our balance or pause for another moment before starting to bend that standing leg to slowly bring the right foot back down into your crescent. Good. Rising up in your crescent, again, arms overhead or cactus arms if that is better for you. Whether you have arms overhead or you're in cactus arms, on the next exhale, we're going to bring hands to heart center, back heel spins down, open up for your warrior two. Again, adjust as you need to. Heel to heel, heel to arch. The shoulder blades plugging into the back and pressing down, find that lift. Keep your outer right hip reaching back and not forward. And on the next inhale, either choosing to stay in warrior two legs or triangle legs. Left palm spins up, reaches back. A bit more space between the hips and the shoulders. Maybe the right hand reaches back as well. Maybe the left hand leads the way as you come back through warrior two for just a breath. The next exhale, windmill the hands down. Spin the back heel up. Back knee lowers down. Is that true? Yes, we did come into lizard lunge first. I was like, we got a pigeon coming here somewhere, right? Feeling here into your lizard lunge side two. What's happening with that left knee, with that left foot? Does it make sense on the side for you to go deeper toward forearms on blocks or forearms to the floor? Is the knee moving wide because the body and our dimensions are making that happen? Are we doing it with intention so that we can be strong and intentional with the movements we make to change the shape? Whether you're on forearms or not. If the knee is moving wide, let the inner left edge of your foot peel up at the same rate. So even as the foot's peeling up, we're still trying to push down through the big toe ball mount. The knee is moving wider. Maybe on the exhale, left arm reaches to the sky. Fill up with air, nice full breath as the right knee bends, heel to sit bone. Left hand reaches back, whether it makes the connection or not. There is still deep quad work happening with the heel hugging in, the foot holding on creates tension around the movement. That tension moves through the body, maybe allows the torso to twist a little bit more. Good. And on your next inhale from the twist, untwist, walk that left foot in just enough so you can bring both hands to the floor. Either come back to down dog to move into Ekapada Rajakapotasana, or left toes walk off to the left while the left knee stays at the left edge of your mat. You can either shin parallel or not to the top of your mat. Oh, we did an upright thing here first. Come on to finger pads. Press down and away to give support here and lift. Strong through the core here, so the back bend is happening from the mid to upper back. Knees hug to center to bring more stability into the foundation. And with this back bend sensation through the body, start to hinge from the hips, letting the back bend unfurl to something more neutral as you come down onto forearms. Keeping the head lifted a little bit, the chin lifting away from the chest. You can walk the hands forward and out if you would like to. Now the next inhale, we start to walk ourselves back in. Lift the back knee, press down into the hands to rise back to down dog, to three-legged dog, to three-legged dog with a hip opener, to flipping your dog into wild thing. With hips driving to the sky, heart reaching toward the front of the room. Inhale from your wild thing. Back into a down dog. And from down dog, we'll take a big step forward and wide with the right foot, big step forward and wide with the left foot. You can come into Malasana pose here. You can stay lifted to already prepare yourself to come into crow pose if you would like to. Both of these things are going to be good for our bigger pose we're going to get to at the end here. So if you would like to come into crow, Bakasana. Block in a blanket, no block is up to you. We're grounded down through the hands. We lift the heels so the knees start to tilt. We start to come forward, balancing on the balls of the feet, trying to bring knees to outer shoulders, outer triceps, hugging to center. If you're a person who can get knees into armpits, feel free to do that as well, but we're trying not to just be on the meatier part of the tricep because that can slide and that can slip. Now, just as we've been playing with earlier when we were giving ourselves a nice big hug while we were standing, it is shoulder blades coming off the back. So there is a deep roundedness that happens when we contract the core so much that we get lift. Nice with the jump back. Nice. Core, yes. And crow. Sit back for a second here. Send both legs out. We do have one more thing happening here with our core work. Been doing some stuff with hip opening. We're going to do Ardha Matsyendrasana here. I think I should say fast. We'll do Ardha Matsyendrasana for a deeper stretch to see where everything is. I know we've had some asks about neck. So we're going to ultimately come into Garudasana as like our second or third to last pose. We can do that standing. You can do that on your back where you're doing the work here of core work and everything crossing over the midline without having to balance on the legs. You can, if you would like to, come into eagle legs in hands, well, I guess you couldn't handstand, we don't have time for that. Yeah, for headstand, or in shoulder stand, if that's of interest to anybody. But let's do one more thing here with the hips and just give us the space that we need to open some things up. And we start with both legs extended. Maybe there's a little bend to both knees if we need it. We're going to draw our right foot in about 50% of the way that you normally would. Maybe it's just knee to ankle here on this side. If there's any reason why taking a deeper half Lord of the Fishes pose is an issue, you'll find Sukhasana leg for the left. So it will come in, it'll be ankle behind, left ankle behind right heel, and the legs won't cross over, right? So this is the first place to start. You can also, coming more fully into it, bring the left knee directly out in front of the left hip. Let the right foot cross over. Because we need a bigger stretch here on the outer hips, what we're looking for is inner edge of that right foot really grounding down. That helps to draw the knee more to center. And because we're focusing a little bit more here just on the hips, you might stay seated here with the hands taking hold of both of the right knee, hugging into yourself so we have length here. Good. Maybe it is left elbow closing around right knee, interlacing the hands or however you would like to once again, and supporting a little bit more of a twist, where you come down onto right hands or right fingertips. Maybe the left elbow comes to the outside of the right knee. And as the elbow tries pushing to center, the knee tries pushing back into it for the twist. Exhale. Inhale, allow yourself to come out a little bit, or notice where the breath has to move to take a full inhale. And the next exhale, release a little bit more space, coming in deeper. Nice inhale, come back to center. Lean back, extend both legs out. Shake everything out. And same thing on this side. Left knee comes in about 50% of the way to start. For those of us who aren't going further, that right ankle comes behind the left knee, or well, under the left knee, behind the left heel. Maybe we stay here and support ourselves. Maybe the right knee keeps walking more towards center. Left foot crosses over to the outside. Adjust your seat. And hands holding, knees hugging in, lifting. There's still core work happening, length happening, and a deep outer left thigh stretch. Maybe right elbow comes in as left hand reaches back. Maybe left elbow reaches for the outside. And exhale for your twist. Next inhale either brings us out a little bit, or the breath has to move somewhere else as we maintain a nice full breath. The next exhale, we move in a little deeper. And on the inhale, now allow yourself to fully unwind, unfurl through the legs. In this seated space, if you know that you would like to play with Garudasana as a pose without the balance, come onto your back and I'll give some cues for you. If you'd like to come to standing for this, come to standing and I'll give some cues for this. And while everyone's doing that, if anyone is interested in this in a headstand, we have gravity doing a lot of the work here in helping to get the legs in place where we need them to be. So we have our setup. We come into our headstand. We obviously aren't doing anything different with the hands because that's got to support us. One knee drops down, hugs to center. Other knee drops down to the space behind it. Just like we're doing when we're standing. Outer shins hug toward each other. Feet are flexed as if you're standing on the wall. You can come up. You can switch sides. You can come out to switch sides if you need to. All right? Everyone who's standing would like to be standing. Everyone who's on your back, you can do this on your back. Good. Find your stance. Have your blocks to the outside of the ankles if you would like the extra support. So when that foot crosses over, that foot can rest on a block so that we can then slowly, as we feel more stable and steady, to lift the ball of that foot away to come more into the balance portion. Good. Sit back and down into the chair, hands to hips. Put more weight into the right foot. Do the core work here of lifting left knee to chest. Left knee opens wide. Our first time doing figure 4 chair, but we found this shape in a couple of other ways throughout the practice. Keep on taking that left knee right on over so it stacks on top of the right. Then outer shins hug toward each other. So the left shin tries to move back to the left. The right shin is resisting it. Reach your arms forward. We've got our left knee on top, so we're going to take right elbow on top of left elbow and either give ourselves a hug, back of the hands press, or palms press. If you have palms pressing, can you find the strong energy so that the ankle, or the, well, ankles, yes, but the wrists stay neutral? Nice. Nice variations, everybody. Checking in with yourselves. If you have it, on the next exhale, you can fold in, connect elbow to knee. We've been in this for a long time. I know it's wobbly. With control, come up as you're ready. Unfurl everything. Shake it all out. If you have a good headstand practice, doesn't have to be that we're doing it this time, but if we have a good headstand practice, it really is a lot of gravity doing the supportive work. We're bringing the knees down for the crossing over. And so if part of, I don't want to do this in headstand is because this feels like this, it's not quite like that in the headstand. Because, you know, we've got 3 points of contact to the floor. It's a much more stable base than how eagle is here. So we'll do this one more time, other side. It's 1 o'clock. We're going to come right into Shavasana after this. I'm blowing past time. Sit back and down into your chair. Now it is right knee hugging to chest. Notice already how it is for balance here on the foot. Knee opens wide. Find your figure 4. Let that knee be heavy. Then the knee keeps on traveling over to stack on top of the left. Outer shins hug toward each other. If this foot touches the block, now we've added a bigger foundation, and you can come to a place where you practice lifting the big toe ball mount away from the floor. Good. Let the hands reach forward. Left arm reaches a little bit more, so you can place the left elbow into the right as it crosses over to the left. Give yourself a big hug. Back of the hands, palms. Nice, with people tucking the back leg there. It's a nice extra step as well. It's a lot more. Nice. Inhale to slowly come up. Or if you're folding in, do the folding in. I saw somebody wants it. Inhale as you're ready to rise up. Shake everything out with everybody else. Move through the shoulders. Shake out the wrists. We've got to get into Shavasana, otherwise I could just keep teaching for another 30 minutes. There's more stuff in my head. We're going to make our way down to the mats. Shavasana is going to be a neutral pose. We typically do a little bit more before we come into Shavasana, but it is very neutral. We're not crossing over the midline. We don't have to do core work. We're not in a forward fold. Allow your Shavasana to take care of you. With each exhale, release anything that is distracting you in this moment.
Let your next inhale be deeper than the last. And your next inhale deeper still. Moving that fresh air from not just the chest and the belly, but down into the fingers and toes, making whatever little movements you need to as you come back. If there are bigger stretches that you need, as we often do, you can bring the legs to touch and reach the arms overhead. Inhale, stretching fingertips away from toe tips. Exhale, heels away from fingertips. Inhale, toes away from fingertips once again. And on the exhale, curl into yourself. Give yourself a nice big hug, either rolling off to one side or rocking and rolling. In the next 2 breaths, if there's some action that rubbing or rolling over part of the back feels nice, stick with it for a second more. Ultimately coming up to your version of easy seat. Hands returning to heart center here, reminding ourselves about this intention of self-reverence, of all the ways and all the choices that we are able to intuitively and very groundedly make for ourselves in our practice are things that we can do off the mat, even if there isn't always space given to us to do those things. Allow the breath just to move through the body and notice the subtle and sometimes not so subtle shifts and changes in your practice and in your seat right now after an hour of mindful movement. And as you are exploring, if you'd like to join in with me in the sound of one final Om to end the practice here in this moment. Exhale completely. To inhale fully. The light in me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste, everyone. You're welcome. I love our final Oms. It is stronger, it is more powerful, it is more in sync, it is nice to move that way and to end that way. Thank you, everybody online. You're welcome. All right, good.